Good afternoon, everybody. It's another addition to the series. This is Janae, aka the Monger, and right now I have with me Lindsay, who is the owner and cheesemaker at Twin Sisters Creamery. So Lindsay, can you give me a little introduction about yourself and about Twin Sisters?
Great. Thank you for the invitation, Janae. I really am happy to be here. So my name's Lindsay. My husband Jeff and I were the owners and cheesemakers of Twin Sisters Creamery. We're up here in Ferndale, Washington. We opened the creamery. We're coming up on our 5th anniversary, would be August of this year. And we named the creamery after our twin daughters, Maddie and Lexi. And so we just produce 3 cheeses in the creamery, and our emphasis is raw milk cheeses. We're best known for our Watkin Blue, very mellow and approachable. And we love what we do. We are the physical cheesemakers. So we've been thankfully in production this week, which is nice. It's nice to be in the production room.
Awesome. So tell me about your business before COVID. So were you widely distributed? Were you just mostly carried in small cheese shops around the area? Like what did your business look like?
We were on track. We were trending to be up about 25% this year. We had 4 distributors. You could find our cheese in 4 different states. We even had Costco contracts and had been in Costco the last couple of years. So we built the creamery for production. Even though it's a very small business, it's just Jeff and I, and we had 2 employees. We wanted to be able to produce a lot of cheese out of the facility. And so we were really happy. We were happy with the trends. I would say about 40% of our business was actually in restaurants. We were in a lot of restaurants and at the stadiums and in catering companies. And so that was an immediate hit that we really didn't anticipate. It was just amazing how quickly everything just stopped.
Yeah. So you also have a cheese shop on the property too, right?
Yes, we have a retail cheese shop. It represents about 35% of our overall sales. Is a great tourist destination. It's a beautiful facility with big viewing windows into the production room, so guests can come in and watch us make cheese. We were doing wine and cheese tasting classes and events in the evenings and private events, and we'd have different tour groups come through to see the facility. We'd even have industry professionals or other cheesemongers that were, say, studying for the ACS exam, CCP exam, come in and make cheese with us in our facility. We're just this huge open book with other cheesemakers and with the community. So the retail cheese shop is now closed. And we just started, well, about 4 weeks ago, a curbside pickup on Fridays. And so our guests are communicating with us via text and email, what they'd like, especially our regulars that know what has been carried at the shop. And then just yesterday, we launched an online store on our website, and which you can choose curbside pickup, or we also have delivery options. And we're keeping it really limited because we want to do it well and figure out what people want. And we really want fresh cheeses coming in that we're able to sell quickly. So it's interesting, but the retail cheese shop basically dropped. I mean, we're just maybe about 20% of our average sales right now with this Friday pickup. So that portion of our business feels like it's gone, but we're happy to stay connected with our customers.
Wow, that's quite a bit. And then you said you just started an online presence so people can order directly online from the website?
Yeah, we always had a website, and last fall for Christmas, we put our cheeses on sale with shipping because our little Watkin Blue wheel is very popular. It's a nice gift at the holidays.
Yeah.
And we created a holiday label for it. So that was our first tiptoe into online ordering and shipping, which went well. We were pleased with how it went. But this just spurred us to get an online presence because when our guests do come to the shop, one of the biggest questions is, how do I pay? And so they can call when they arrive and we'll take their credit card over the phone. And then when we walk their cheese out to their car, bring a receipt. And of course we have masks on, gloves on, the whole thing. And it is working, but it's just a concentrated window between 1 and 5 p.m. because we can't hang out at the creamery all week for an occasional person coming in, although we are making special arrangements for pickups if that's necessary.
Have you had to adjust in your facility at all for to accommodate for that shipping, or did you have enough space to accommodate for it?
We don't really need space because we had the retail shop. We had upright coolers and grab and go coolers, and then we have our aging facility in the back. So we're not utilizing. I mean, we are utilizing one like 5-foot case out of the whole facility. So we've reduced any use of the space. Really, is being reduced.
Are there any other avenues that you've kind of seen come forth over the last, month or so that have been giving you new streams of revenue?
Yeah, what I'd say, well, what's most exciting is the CSAs, and because obviously that's doing really well, and to be able to have a partnership with them and for them to include our cheese in their CSA boxes is great. So that has grown. It's not to a point where it can replace the loss in distribution sales, but it's nice to have activity. It's nice to get the call, and it's nice to be in the production facility cutting and wrapping and getting the response from the community. So that, I believe, can grow. I think that's going to be a new avenue for us, is how to get our cheese directly to people's houses in different vehicles like that.
Awesome. Has this affected your affinage practices at all? Like, what did that look like before? And because I talked to Cascadia Creamery, and since their sales kind of dropped out, they actually had to put a bunch of stuff in lower temperatures to kind of put everything in stasis to hold on to it. Have you had to deal with any of that yet?
Yeah, we haven't yet, but we're looking at all those options with dropping temperatures and packaging and extending shelf life. It's possible to do with our product being rindless and how it's aged. It's definitely possible to do. I think we're just going to have to see what happens. I would think on the 2 farmhouse cheeses, they can extend that shelf life out past a year at lower temperatures with no change to the consistency of the product. The blue changes over time. What we would probably do is, if we were aging that blue out to a year or longer, I think we would launch it as a new product. It wouldn't be the same as what our young Whatcom Blue is today, but I think might actually create a new product for us.
Oh, okay, cool. Speaking of that, has this time afforded you any time for any new projects or anything in particular that you were?
I'm smiling. My husband just walked in out of the production room. Jeff, you should come over here and say hello.
Yeah, please come and say hi.
Yeah, but we've wanted to launch a new product for a long time. So we're playing in product development, but it's top secret. So I can't really share it, but maybe this fall you'll see a new item come out of the creamery.
Well, I'm excited.
You gotta lean in. Look at the beard that's grown.
This is my COVID look here.
Yeah.
It's my Jim Ignatowski here. So I don't know if you know that's who Jim Ignatowski is.
I can't say that I do. I'm sorry.
From Taxi, an old series.
Oh, okay. Yes. I do know.
His age.
Yeah.
In reference and in beard.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Used to be black, but whatever.
Yeah.
I mean my beard. I'm sorry.
Okay, cut left. There you go. That's what live streaming is all about, Jeff.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
But we're kind of excited. We're slow to launch new items. We want to do what we do well and consistently and get very comfortable at it. And so it'll be nice if we can pull something off this fall. But we're playing with test product in the cooler right now.
Awesome. So another thing that I wanted to bring up with you in particular is that you are currently the president of the Washington Artisan Cheesemaker Association. So I just want to kind of know what the general feeling is between the cheesemakers in Washington, because I've talked to you, I've talked to Ferndale, and I've talked to Cascadia Creamery, but we have a lot of dairies here in our state. So can you give us kind of a heads up on what people are feeling?
Yeah, at first in March, we all kind of hit that panic button, like, oh my gosh, if we don't do something, like 50% of these creameries could just end up closing. I mean, the animals are still producing milk, the farmers markets are gone, the restaurants are gone. And even though the grocery stores were really busy, they weren't buying artisan cheese. So that's not what everybody was going there for. So at WASCA, we got together as a board, put a letter together kind of as an urgent plea to our retailers, recognizing that the only way to get product to market was through the grocery stores, but that the grocery stores had to support it and let people know that it was local and how important and available. So fortunately with that, we had some great support from like Hagen, food and pharmacies that opened up their system with an expedited vendor setup form, and working with the food hub to get more additional creameries into their stores quickly, and also allowing creameries to go direct to a single location if that's all they needed. So that's what was most impressive to me with their campaign, that is just wrapping up now, but they're trying to figure out ways to extend it, keep the focus on local, do the videos and stories of individual people so people can really connect. Like there's a whole bunch additional stuff going on. Whole Foods Market stepped up and put a bunch of advertising. Town and Country is participating as well. So that was really helpful to everybody. I found when I was talking to cheesemakers now, we were all kind of relaxed into what our new world looks like. And so people are finding ways with CSA, farm pickup, some of the farmers markets reopening, relationships, new relationships that are being built with the grocery chains. So it's still very serious, and it's not stable, and we're all nervous about the future. But I think that I think everyone's getting more comfortable in this new reality, and I think people are feeling a little bit better that, hey, I think we're going to be okay. We can hang in there. The local community is responding so well about how important our local food system is. That's Jeff making a lot of noise over there. Can you hear him?
Yeah.
Can you make any more noise, Jeff? I guess I'm not in a closet doing one of these Zoom things.
It's okay. I mean, the work has to continue on, so
Yeah.
it is what it is.
Well, and adjusting to that new reality, we're all adjusting to like a new sales forecast. I mean, we're never going to hit that sales stride we were on last year. I mean, those days are gone, but how do we maintain our business and survive and continue to bring in a salary and get through this? But it's going to be a long period. I'm guessing it's just going to take a long time.
Yeah, absolutely.
To get back to whatever the new normal looks like.
So I think one of the things that I haven't really talked about in a lot of these is that difficulty of working with grocery stores. And I think that you bring up a really good point of what it takes to get into even local grocery store chain and how much time that takes. Can you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah. With FSMA and all the food safety rules and all the pressure on distributors and retailers and their liability of bringing in safe food, I mean, that pushed down, even before regulation, things like third-party audits and food safety standards. And that is expensive and hard for a lot of people to get in place quickly. And even though small artisan producers were exempt from those requirements, that didn't matter if the distributor required a third-party audit or if the grocery chain required that third-party audit. It doesn't matter your size as being an exemption from that. So that is probably the most difficult step to getting in the grocery stores. But working with smaller distributors like the Food Hub, for example, they have their own criteria of food safety. And other smaller retailers and stuff will open up doors to bring people in if they're licensed, have insurance, have recall policies, stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So there's more forgiveness with you not having a full-on third-party audit on file. Not with everybody, but in general, there's again a lot of community and everybody trying to help everybody. And these are licensed cheesemakers by the state. They're WSDA licensed cheesemakers who've been making cheese for a long time and do take food safety seriously.
Absolutely. I mean, I've visited a lot of the producers in our state, and I have never once questioned the safety of our cheesemakers.
Yeah.
So has this affected, let's go back to just Twin Sisters, but has this affected any thoughts about what you might make in the future, or like what your plans for future cheeses? Will you like possibly think about going in a different direction of more aged or anything like that?
We haven't really thought about changing the product lineup other than introducing something new to it. We have a pretty stable product, but certainly we don't think we're ever going to open the retail store. It's never going to look the same as it did. I mean, we're about 1,000 square feet, and I can't imagine a bunch of people in here. Like, our success was open houses and holiday events, and it was crowded, and there was samples everywhere and recipes, and we had other artisans that people could meet here. Like, I know those days are gone, and so trying to figure out other ways to connect with people, and even stuff like this type of like live video or connecting with people. I'm curious to see how other cheesemakers are doing, and virtual cheese tastings on the evenings to replace classes that people were having. And I'm just curious to see how that all evolves. I think it's going to be kind of exciting what people end up doing.
Yeah, I feel like there's definitely been a big push of a lot of shops have been doing virtual cheese tastings. Like the Antonelli's kind of, I think, headed the way with that. But people can order the cheese from the shop and then sit in for a date night at home with
it's
their
great.
cheese shop,
Yeah.
and it's awesome.
Yeah.
And it's definitely a good way. I mean, the thought of not being able to have open houses and cheese shops open just kills me. So I'm optimistic that those things will come back at some point, even if it looks a little bit different. But it is a reality that we do have to face, but it's a scary one for me to think about.
It is, because it's so community. Like, cheese lovers, we're pretty intense people, and like to be around other people that love cheese and like to try everything and compare it and talk about it. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. That's for our retail space, but I'm hoping that activities start to be generated out there in the community that bring people together again around cheese. Really.
Absolutely. So here's a question that I've been posing to everybody. So I got this question on Facebook, but what recommendations would you have for a cheese business that's just getting started now? Like, is there something in particular that you would suggest making sure is part of their business plan, or a tactical solution that you think they should definitely start out with? Do you have any thoughts on that?
I think that I think it's that community connection. I think those CSAs, this direct contact with your consumer. You're not going to want to overbuild. You're not going to want a lot of overhead. You're not going to want to buy that upgraded specialty vat, or, you're going to really, it's not really a time to spend. If you're in a position where you're able to make cheese and get it on the market, I would just be very, very, very cautious of the upfront costs. But if you're already there and able to produce, I wouldn't let this slow you down from bringing a product to the market. Because I think that, our local food chain is so critical and will continue to be even more important in the future. I would just be afraid of, I don't think anyone's spending money right now. And it's not inexpensive to start a creamery, depending on, what type of level you're doing, or if you already have the farm and,
Yeah, that's always the funny thing is people think that because the end product is a little expensive at the grocery stores, that it's a cheap thing to be a cheesemaker.
And all cheesemakers know that it's expensive and difficult to survive. It just is.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I know the reality. You guys are just throwing $100 bills in that vat and just rolling around in it.
Exactly. Have you seen my new car I'm driving? Yeah, exactly.
Definitely not the reality at all.
No. But I mean, there's a love. Obviously, like any artisan, we're passionate about what we make. It's so cool to eat your own finished product and to share it with people. I mean, there's so much. It's nice to have that.
Yeah. So let's talk about your milk source, because you are not farmstead.
No.
And you buy milk.
From Twin Brook Dairy, which
Okay.
is the beautiful glass bottles you see at PCC and all the grocery stores. Actually, yeah, I think they had to switch out to plastic because of the returns. You know, people don't want to, or the stores don't want to receive the glass back in the stores with all the extra touches. So they've had to make some really immediate 180 twists to get their milk in some chains into plastic to keep it on the shelves. And, but fortunately, because they bottle and sell their product, they have distributors too and also sell direct, they're hanging in there. I mean, they're not exceeding, like, I mean, they're struggling too, but they have a small herd, and have not heard of them dumping milk yet. We're trying to consistently pick up from them, but it is fortunate that they do have their ability to sell their bottled milk. Now, in the future, I mean, they have a higher end product out there, you know, like we do as a cheesemaker. And so depending on what happens with the economy and everyone's jobs and all that kind of stuff, I mean, it could get more difficult for all of us.
Yeah. Yeah, that's tough stuff for sure. So kind of my big final question, how can mongers, shop owners, distributors, how can we collaborate with you to help sell through some of the cheese that you have? How can we help you sell your cheese?
Well, it's the same. It was kind of like, as you saw at Waska, the Buy Local campaign basically is just that huge awareness that literally if people are buying a local cheese, they could be saving a creamery. Like, that's the best way to help us, is to actually make those purchases when you see the product out there, and let the retailers know it's important and that's what you're looking for in the stores. And let your restaurants that are doing, you know, orders to go and your CSAs. I think everyone knows it's important, but you have to be your own voice too, and get out in front of those people and share your product. And yeah, and the more you can talk about, the more you can do things like this, Janae, which is amazing to get us in front of more customers or more people that can share our stories. I think that's the direction that it's all going in. So we just have to stay connected and communicating, and know our value, know the value of our product, and know the value of our communities and how we're spending our money, for sure.
Absolutely. Well, unless there's anything else that you feel like we didn't touch on that you feel needs to be said.
Well, I wanted to just say, it was so funny. I think one of the questions was, do you have kind of more time? Is this time, like, you know, and I don't know anyone I've talked to that, even though it's a stay-at-home order, and well, we have 11-year-old twins that are fifth graders. So we have, like all the other parents out there, figuring out the school and keeping them on track, and the kids and stuff. And then with Waska, I don't think I've been busier in my life right now. I got to tell you, even if we're not in production. So it's amazing where the energy comes from and how you just keep going and everything there is. But, you know, I just think I expected to have some time on my hands, and that hasn't happened. But that's a good thing. I'm not complaining. But yeah, it's been amazing how busy it is.
Well, you know,
I have to look at Jeff too again.
As someone who does have a lot of time on her hands.
Oh, good. There's some good books out there to read, right?
Yeah, it's been a little tough still, but you know, finding a way.
Yeah, it's not. I mean,
so.
Yeah, we're I mean, we're workaholics. We always have been. So I don't know. Yeah, not time on my hands probably wouldn't be very relaxing either. You know, you got to do something. Exactly. But I really appreciate this, Janae. This is super that you're doing this. I really appreciate it.
I really appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to come and take a chat with me. And I just want to say thank you. And I hope that people see the validity in our local cheese, because it's delicious.
Yeah, there's excellent quality product out there. It's amazing. Washington's a pretty unique state, so really proud of all the cheesemakers. So yeah, that's the last. Just go ahead and buy local everything, you know, support all your farmers and artisans.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for joining us.